Hey everyone, and welcome to the next video of Star Wars month. And today I'm going to be rounding off the Star Wars sequel trilogy with Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, this movie, out of all the sequels, this movie was the one I really enjoyed. It basically rounds off the entire Skywalker saga. It's basically the ending of a story. It's absolutely incredible. And we see the return of a few familiar faces. We see Kylo Ren, who's basically been wandering the galaxy, searching for a mysterious voice he's been hearing. It eventually takes him to this planet called Exegol. And it turns out the mysterious voice is a resurrected Darth Sidious, or Emperor Palpatine. Yeah, even though it looks like he was definitely killed off in Episode 6, the Emperor is back. Turns out he's basically managed to survive that attack by transferring his essence into a clone body. And honestly, that's probably one of the most deluded plans Sidious has ever had. I mean, being able to come back from the dead, that's unbelievable. And being able to do it in a clone body, even more so. And meanwhile, Rey is still training to be a Jedi under Leia. And eventually, Poe and his pilots manage to find out that Palpatine has come back. And so Rey, Finn, and Poe are sent on a mission to find a means of stopping him. And they eventually travel to this planet, a desert planet, and there's this festival going on. And that's when they meet a hermit there, who is actually Lando Calrissian. Yes, the Lando Calrissian, played by a returning Billy D. Williams. And that is pretty cool. I didn't recognize it at first, but then my dad, I went to go see this movie when it came out. I didn't see it at first, but my dad pointed it out, and that is brilliant. I can't believe they managed to get Lando back. But they got everyone else back, so, makes sense. Eventually, though, the First Order does find them, and then there's this massive chase going around. And with the jet troopers, they fly now. A lot of people love that line. They fly now. Classic. And then they find this dagger that has an inscription on it that's in the ancient Sith language. Eventually, and they do know that C-3PO is fluent in all those different types of language, but it's against his programming to read it. So they have to travel to a mechanic who can basically restore 3PO's programming and, well, not restore it, but override it so he can read the inscription. But there is a massive fight against the First Order as well, and Kylo Ren is there as well, and they actually managed to capture Chewbacca and place him on one of their prisoner transports. This leads to a massive tug of war, like a telekinetic tug of war, another one between Rey and Kylo. But it gets so tense that Rey seems to accidentally use Force Lightning, which is, of course, a power mostly associated with the dark side. And using it, she actually destroys the troop transport, and we're all led to believe that that was the one with Chewie on it. But it wasn't. Chewbacca was absolutely fine. It was just another transport. But I was certain for a second that Chewbacca had been killed off. I mean, they managed to kill off Han Solo and Luke Skywalker in the last two films, so, They then managed to make it to the planet, and they do realize that Chewie is alive. And they managed to get 3PO back to... They managed to override his programming, and he reads the Sith language and tells him about Exegol, but as a result, it completely wipes his memory. So he's basically forgotten everybody, even his best friend R2-D2. It was quite a touching moment, honestly. And the message also told them about a Sith wayfinder being on the moon called Kef Bur, which is near Endor, and it's where the ruins of the second Death Star lie. Rey manages to find the Sith wayfinder, but not before encountering a series of visions, including herself as a dark side warrior, with a double-bladed lightsaber that's also hinged and everything. And that was honestly quite confronting. And then that leads to a final fight between Rey and Kylo, where Leia uses all of her strength to call out to Kylo through the Force, and Rey takes the opportunity to stab Kylo through with his own lightsaber. But then Rey backs off after she senses that Leia has died. Leia used all of her strength to talk to Kylo, and it's drained her completely. So that's it. The original cast, the original 3, have all died. It was unbelievable. I could not believe it. Rey then flies off, and it turns out she actually planned to exile herself on Octo. She destroyed her X-Wing and planned to destroy her lightsaber as well. But as she was trying to throw it into the fire, it was caught by the spirit of Luke Skywalker, who told her about the story of how Leia sensed the death of her son at the end of her Jedi path, and so she cut her training short. And Luke gifted Rey Leia's lightsaber. And that was pretty cool to know that Leia was training as a Jedi. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren gets a vision of his late father, Han Solo, of course, and played by a returning Harrison Ford. And it's during this conversation with him that he finally rejects the dark side, becomes Ben Solo again, and throws his lightsaber out into the ocean. So both Leia and Ben then travel to Exegol to face off against Sidious, and of course the entire Resistance fleet are there alongside them. The entirety, every single ship in the galaxy is there to take down Palpatine and his Sith Eternal cult and the empire he plans to rise, called the Final Order. And it was an epic battle. It truly was. Until Palpatine manages to drain the energy from Rey and Ben's bond, restores himself, and tries to annihilate the fleet. However, Rey then suddenly hears the voices of all the Jedi from the past urging her on. And she manages to do this to redirect Sidious's Sith lightning back at him and destroy him. Hopefully, and I hope that's the last we see of him. Unfortunately, the effort kills Rey. But Ben manages to use his powers of Force Heal and transfers his life essence into Rey to restore her. And so basically Ben has managed to save her. And it was quite a big moment between the two. And unfortunately, this act costs Ben his life, and he becomes one with the Force. And so Rey then travels back to Tatooine to bury the Skywalker lightsabers, and she takes on the name Rey Skywalker to live up to Luke and Leia's memory. And so that is where the Skywalker saga essentially ends. But of course, we've got another saga on the way, because we do know that Daisy Ridley has just announced that there will be a new set of Star Wars movies focusing on Rey restoring the Jedi Order. And I can't wait for that movie. Well, those movies, actually. But let me just tell you, Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is the best of the Star Wars sequels. No doubt about it. There's some great characters. Well, they've always been great characters. There were some great moments. It was an amazing story. Great twists and turns. Some shocking moments that I did not expect. But overall, it was just a fantastic movie, and it was a brilliant end to the Skywalker saga. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Star Wars Episode 9. Let me know what your favourite installment of the sequel trilogy is. Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to join me next time on the show. Goodbye.